Welcome back. You're watching Business Morning on Channels Television. On the program today, we're looking at the economics of the festive season. I've been having a conversation with a business development consultant and an economist, Mr. Paul Igbinoba. He's still here with me in the studio. Thank you so much for sticking around. So we've looked at aspects where it seems as if government should really play a part. Let's look at where it seems as if we tend to have we have this tendency of removing ourselves from the issue on ground.
Yes.
And so when we go shopping, we believe that the government ought to have ensured the prices stayed within a certain parameter. Now, a lot of people say that this season can be like a make or break for retailers because each year they've kind of found ways of maintaining or increasing their sales volume. But let's look at now. Does it seem like retailers have actually found creative ways of increasing their volume, apart from the fact that they've increased prices on most of the commodities that they sell?
Well, basically, what a retailer does is to want to sell as much as possible. Really, again, the economy is quite intact, you might say, so to say. People still import, a lot of goods are still imported. Christmas season purchases are mostly foreign goods, let's face it. So, as you know, products had to rush to clear that to meet the Christmas rush and all that. So, a whole lot have been coming in, are still coming in. And I think, with reference to the economy, austerity, and the new year, basically the issue is, what does the consumer do? What do you and I do as people in this economy? How do we spend now? Take into account that next year has many unknowns, the election, the economy, and all that. I think people should be a bit mindful how they spend now, because Christmas seasons come and go. There will be another Christmas next year anyway, and this is a rather difficult time, although the impact is not felt much. So you should be quite mindful how you spend now, save a bit more, with reference to what you might need to do early in the year. But people's jobs are still intact anyway, so. And the good thing from the government point of view is that government has not, cut into recurrent. Like I've said, they actually increased recurrent expenditures by 395 billion naira. So the recurrent is in the short term, really. If you are a government employee, you really don't have much to worry. I mean, if you are a federal government employee, so to say, you don't have much to worry about, and you still get your salary paid. And but generally speaking, there's need for caution. Spend a bit less now, save a bit more, take care of school fees early, take care of other expenditures, and then of course, then the election takes place in February and all that. So we just pray that things will be fine. Personally, I believe that we don't have cause to be honestly anxious. The election will come and go, and by May, there'll be a new regime, either the president in office or otherwise, as the case may be. But I believe that certainly, like I said, whichever government is in place, we have to face up with the music of the economic, challenges that we're facing, because we really cannot go on like this. The oil price over the years have been going up and down. That's the nature. And now, with these major developments in terms of shale oil, new entrants into the oil market from Africa, and you discover that the price of oil will not go up again to $100 for a long time, $100 for a long time. So we really must work hard to develop our other sectors of the economy and all that. So, and those challenges we face by government, they'll really come out strongly from third quarter of next year. And again, I believe that, you see, if you are talking of austerity and reforms, leadership should show good example. What sacrifices are the political elite making? That is key to it. If you say Nigerians should make sacrifices, as a leader, what sacrifices are you making? It's not just economics, it's also the politics of reform and austerity. That's why I believe that it's only from July next third quarter that we'll see the full picture of the economic, reform package going forward.
Well, you talked about development sectors that can help Nigeria's drive to become a non-oil economy.
Yes.
Now, at this particular point in time, we know that there's some sectors, although I know you mentioned it, you mentioned the food, you mentioned hospitality, you mentioned accessories and clothes. But what other sectors at this particular point in time actually benefit, especially as in retailers in this particular sector? How much or which particular sectors actually, benefit from the largesse of Christmas shoppers?
Well, Christmas shopping is about consumption, basically. They're about food items, they're about clothing, accessories. They're not about, of course, some household equipment too, like TV, electronics are also there.
What about tourism?
Yeah, tourism, that's not a Christmas season scenario in Nigeria. Most Nigerians rather go abroad for tourism around this time. Our domestic tourism market hasn't really developed. But talking about the other sector that can diversify the economy, petrochemicals is a big deal. Manufacturing, agriculture, and of course, too, government have been trying to reform the iron and steel sector, which I believe this year we'll see more results in that area. Yes. So these are key sectors that can drive the economy in terms of restructuring and rebalancing the economy away from oil. You are aware of the $11 billion petrochemical complex that Dangote is building at Lekki, for example. There are about 3 other petrochemical plants, fertilizers to petrochemical plants all over the country. You have the Indorama plant in Port Harcourt, all right, which will be commissioned hopefully by the first quarter of next year. There's also one coming up in Bayelsa. Then, of course, you're aware of the gas complex in Delta. That there's been controversy about which committee should provide whatever facility. I mean, who owns the facility? But that project will take off to 2015. So with these petrochemical gas projects in the country, they will make a very big impact. Of course, there's the gas industrialization plan of government too, and all that. So I believe in the next 5 years, really, if we pursue these projects to their logical conclusion, there will be quite a big impact on the economy.
In terms of talking about big impact now, another big impact that a lot of Nigerians are hoping to see is more jobs created.
These projects will create jobs massively. For example, the petrochemical complex, oil refinery petrochemical complex of Dangote at Lekki needs about a minimum of 8,000 engineers alone, just engineers. And so there are quite a number of projects. Let's also talk about the Lekki port and all that. Now, that project will create over 100,000 jobs. The Dangote, so there's a lot of projects ongoing. These projects will create jobs massively. But of course, the real challenge, of course, like we mentioned earlier, is the SME sector. There have been a whole lot of programs targeted at SMEs. And I believe these programs will begin to yield fruits. Now, don't forget also about the proposed Development Bank of Nigeria, which is a wholesale bank that will take off early this year in the first quarter. So the real big deal is the development of the SME sector. Because the SME globally is the biggest creator of jobs. Yes.
Okay, so now we've painted the reality picture, and everybody understands that in spite of the Christmas holiday, these are the realities on ground. Yeah. So going forward, as we end, let's say, hopefully 2014, on a very, very high note, and going into 2015, how can people avoid having a financial holiday hangover?
Well, I'll just say one should be more cautious, apply common sense. Let's thank God for this Christmas season. It's important. Thank God for it. But hopefully there'll be many more Christmases ahead. So let us be careful on how we spend now. Because really, there are a lot of uncertainties in about 2015. So those things are not so bad and hectic. I mean, the Minister of Finance said that panic is not a strategy. I totally agree with that. We should be positive, because we have a control over our response to this crisis. Now, beginning from our own in ourselves, let us spend less now. Spend less and be more cautious. And also look out for opportunities. Yes, look out for opportunities, because the economy is about opportunities. And Nigeria's economy has one of the biggest opportunities anywhere in the world. The biggest opportunity in the market is the population, a big market. So virtually anything you think about to produce now will sell, even without a business plan, because the market is there. So also we should be more entrepreneurial and more enterprising and more opportunity seeking. That is it. And that's part of how we reform this economy and face this challenge squarely and overcome it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Igbinova. That was a very, very good, strong points that you highlighted for everybody. But thank you so much for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you.
Well, Paul Igbinova is a business development consultant and an economist, and we've been looking at the economics of the festive season. Of course, we know that we have economic realities on ground that have to be put into thoughts when you're spending. And so he says, spend wisely and also cautiously, as well as look out for opportunities which abound enormously. Going forward, we know that we have the general elections coming, and we know we're also faced with the fact that there's a drop in global oil prices. Hopefully, they do not get to an extent that will begin to stifle the economy. But the Minister of Finance, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, says this is not the time to panic, as the federal government has measures in place to protect the economy. Of course, we also know that protecting the economy has also come from the monetary aspect as well. But the conversation continues online. Don't forget to send your questions and comments to any of our social media platforms. But for now, that is the program. Thank you for watching. I'm Harriet Agbenyi.